and welcome to another new edition of World Today, where we get you the latest news headlines and articles making the news around the world. And we're glad to be joined here today by Mr. Amir Nabil, Managing Editor, Middle East News Agency. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we start off from the Daily News of Egypt. President El-Sisi inaugurates 20th round of ICT 2016. President Abdel Fattah El-Sisi inaugurated on Sunday the 20th round of the Communications and Information Technology Conference and Exhibition, ICT 2016. The President inspected different sections of the exhibition being held till the 30th of November. The conference under the auspices of President El-Sisi at the International Cairo Center for Conferences, with the participation of the National Authority for Communication and a number of international, regional and local information technology companies, as well as banks. Egypt Telecom Company is taking part in the event, showcasing its latest services in the communications field. Sir, how do you see the importance of this exhibition in the field of communication?
Actually, it is a very important event for the Egyptian economy as a whole, and for the ICT sector of this particular ICT sector. It is a very strong sector for a long time. We have to bring it back to its strength. We know that there is something like factors to make all the sectors backwards. Actually, some of the companies, people are not producing enough, and some companies are stopping production. Problem of the dollar price and floating the pound, all these impacts or has some effect over the production of the ICT. We have some particular leverage, or particular, we can say, advantages in the ICT sector in particular. We know that the whole world are going forward to encouraging this sector in particular, because it's making the economy in every place, every country in the world, especially in the developing world, which has natural resources and has we can say labor from lower cost labor. In Egypt, for instance, in India, for instance, we have some advantages in this sector. So we have to make it back to strengthen. President Sisi very right to inaugurate this 20th round, this big festival, I think, and we have all to make interest and make encouraging for this sector, for the interest of the people.
Right, and moving on to Egypt, Independent headline reads, Foreign Minister Shoukry receives French Special Envoy for the Middle East Peace Initiative. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry received the French Special Envoy for the Middle East Peace Initiative, Pierre Vermont, who is currently visiting Egypt. The visit comes within the framework of a tour that covers Cairo, Riyadh, and Jordan, and aims at reviewing means of supporting peace process in the Middle East amid the recent developments in both regional and international levels. Foreign Ministry spokesman Ahmed Abu Zaid said the French envoy was keen on presenting the outcomes of his recent tours, in which he promoted for the French initiative for holding an international peace conference before the end of the current year. Vermont also reviewed the aims at expected outcomes of the conference according to the French vision. How do you view the bilateral relations between Egypt and France in different fields currently?
Actually, you have a wide range of relations with France. France is a strong country in the European Union, and it's playing a very strong and important role in the international and regional arena. It is southern of the Mediterranean country, and we have all the time need, and they need and we need to make this relation stronger between each other, between Egypt and France. We have something like military deals about the Rafale, about the weapons we are buying them from France. We are playing some mutual rules in the Arab regional in coordination with France and so on. So the dialogue all the time is important between the two big countries in the two areas or the regions of the Middle East and in Europe. And in particular for the peace process, we know that France has hosted very important conference to make the peace forward, some steps forward for the peace process in the Middle East between the Palestinians and the Israelis, and there is something like different kind of opinions about the outcome of this conference. And still, France needs to make this dialogue and this conversation between the two sides of the peace process with the mediation of something like Egypt and some other big companies in the Middle East to make it a step forward.
Right, and how do you view the French role in supporting the Palestinian cause?
I think France is playing an important role in supporting the Palestinian cause. It has played and still playing this particular role in the European Union to make the dialogue more and more better. I think the Palestinians in particular want France to be mediation in this particular dialogue. So sometimes we hear about the Israeli side said that we don't need another party to make the dialogue between the two sides. But still, Palestinians said, yes, we need France to be a mediator, to host this international conference, to make it their cause disclosed everything for the whole world, not only inside the area. So I think France still making a very important role.
Right, moving on to another headline from World Bulletin. Strikes over fuel subsidies in Khartoum streets. Several public transport buses stayed off the streets in Khartoum, and many shops shut in a mixed response to opposition calls for a nationwide strike against fuel subsidy cuts. The call for a 3-day strike came after the authorities announced a 30% hike in petrol and diesel prices that has led to a sharp rise in the cost of other goods, including medicines. Several key squares and roads in Khartoum and its twin city of Omdurman were deserted on Sunday morning, the start of the working week in the Muslim country, as many as public transport buses remained off the streets. And still, it seems that prices are going up everywhere, in around the even African countries. How do you see the economic status in Sudan?
I think yes, it's going higher and higher prices for in fuel and in the lifestyle and daily life of the people in such kind of. We can't say that it is a poor country. It is not poor country, but it is. They are poor people, I think. I heard from a friend that Sudanese are saying that even with the Egyptian problem is still there and everywhere, there is something like a gap of about 500 of years between Egypt and Sudan about the problems, in terms of the problems in the daily life and how the people has the quality of life in their daily life. According to that, you can say that Sudan is a rich country, but it is with poor, very poor people.
It's rich in terms of its natural resources.
That's right. That's right. Natural resources and the people, I think they have an elite of people who are very qualified and very educated, good educated, but still most of the people there are living under the limit of the poverty.
Right, moving on to Khalij Times, Abbas Fatah in his rare Congress as succession talks build. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas Fatah Party holds its first Congress since 2009 on Tuesday as the 81-year-old leader seeks to close ranks and fend off a key rival. While Abbas advisors insist the Congress is being held because it's overdue, some analysts see it's an opportunity for him to sideline allies of his exiled longtime rival Mohammed Dahlan. Talk of the two will eventually succeed Abbas as Palestinian president has intensified, with the aging leader not having publicly designated a successor. How would you evaluate Abbas's period of leadership?
President Mahmoud Abbas is playing some important role actually, and in terms of the eyes of the world and eyes of the regional blocs, they are finding him that he is a successor for Yasser Arafat, and he's playing in Fatah a very good role, but still they have to make another successor for him. And
but how do you see the situation if Abbas steps down? How would be the situation in Palestine?
I think the same problem is still there in all the countries of the Middle East. This is thinking about the leader and about the president of the Middle Eastern country. It is not only in Palestine, I think. So the same problem, the same culture about the leader is still in his position until he is dead. And this surprising coming a successor after he is dead and he is dying and so on. But I think we are learning that we have to have some kind of culture, new culture for the new generations about the matters of the natural of the matters are saying that they have to be successful, they have to be another generation, they have to be another culture. So we have to be ready about that in Palestinian and in the whole Middle East countries.
Right, and moving on to the Daily Star, the headline reads 22 Syria rebels hit by Daesh group chemical attack. 22 pro-Ankara Syrian rebels were hit by a chemical gas attack from Daesh militants in northern Syria, the Turkish army said on Sunday. It said the attack happened in the area of the village of Khaliliya, east of Al-Rai in northern Syria. Turkish media said the affected Syrian fighters were brought over the frontier to the Turkish border town of Kilis by Turkey's AFAD emergency agency. The report said Turkish emergency workers were equipped with special chemical suits to protect themselves. How do you see the impact of the security situation in Syria on Turkey?
It's very complicated. I think on the border and inside in the borders and inside the countries themselves. There's different kind of parties, different kind of people and sites and point of views and so on. So still the problem has to be, and the solution of the problem has to be through dialogue between the people and the sites themselves. They have to know their interests and the future picture. Region. So if we are talking about Daesh in the area and in the region, we can expect that another Daesh, another kind of organization created by Western powers in the area and all the time, I think according to the conspiracy theory, we have to find that, we have to expect that the Western powers all the time are looking for making a ghost and making another Daesh for the countries in the Middle East, to be afraid all the time, to be fearing all the time from this ghost and all the time calling for help from the Western powers. So the people have to be aware, the peoples of the area and of the countries have to be aware about their interests and to make the solution from themselves.
But how do you see the efficiency of a political solution now in Syria?
They need the political solution. They need the dialogue. They need some sacrifice. We have to be to see enough about what happened in Syria, in Iraq, in even in Turkey. Daesh has changed the picture, changed the map of this area. We can say that it is the backhands of America, backhands of Europe, which want to make such kind of changes of the area and for the map as a whole. So I think we need the political, we need cultural, I think, solution through the dialogue among all the sides.
Right, and moving on to The Guardian, the headline reads, Iraqi forces say 1,000 Islamic State fighters killed in Mosul. Iraqi special forces battling to clear Daesh group from eastern Mosul have killed nearly 1,000 militants, but fighting has slowed as troops face a mobile enemy hidden among thousands of civilians in the city. Weeks into major offensive, Iraqi forces have captured nearly half of eastern Mosul, moving from district to district against jihadists, snipers, suicide attackers, and car bombs. Elite Iraqi troops, now known as the Golden Division, are the only brigades to have entered Mosul from the east, with Iraqi army, federal police, and Kurdish Peshmerga units surrounding the city to the north and south. Would you give us more details on the Iraqi security situation, the current security situation in Iraq?
The situation is still very critical from the beginning of Mosul attacks, and Mosul, we can say, civil war, if we can say, or protecting it, or making cleansing from the Daesh remains and so on. I think when we start and when the army of Iraq started this such kind of battles and such kind of war to make Daesh out of Mosul, some analysts expected that it will long for a long time. It will be stay for a long time, something like weeks, maybe months, about to make the end, to find the end of this war and this battle. I think we still see that Daesh is still there, and the army, the Iraqi army, is trying to make some more and more gains, but still they are not reaching the end of this war.
Right, but do you think that with the U.S. president-elect there will be some change in the policies towards Daesh? I mean, will there be any change in Daesh status in Iraq or Syria?
I think he's against the terrorism, and he's against making the war longer. I think he was trying to make short and make stop for this kind of war, because it is sacrificing from the American economy. So we have to wait and see until Mr. Trump
is inaugurated.
Yes, he's inaugurated in January, and he's making some new decisions different Barack Obama has done until now. So I think Donald Trump will make some kind of change and make some troops back, maybe to America, to make the economy stronger, because he sees that in the interest of America, and I think it is better for the Middle East. I think.
Right, and another headline from the Global Post: Iran may seek naval bases in Yemen or Syria. Iran may seek to set up naval bases in Yemen or Syria in the future, as distant footholds might be more valuable military than nuclear technology, the chief of staff of the Iranian armed forces said in the remarks published on Sunday. Iran is a main ally of President Bashar al-Assad in Syria's civil war and of the movement fighting a Saudi-led military coalition in Yemen. What would be the consequences of Iran's remarks?
Iran is trying to make a stronger role, to play a stronger role in the area, and it sees itself as the biggest power of the Middle East area. It's making something like stronger relations, stronger ties with their allies in the area, like Houthi in Yemen, like we can say Syria, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and so on. So we have to be aware about that because it is dangerous for the whole area to make Iran stronger and stronger. It's making another danger against all the countries if it is stronger and is seeing itself as the biggest power of the area.
Right. How do you see the Iranian strategy in the region as a whole?
Iranian is trying to be the superpower in the whole area. It's making, some analysts are saying that it is a representative for the Western power. If we are seeing there's something like it's not good relations with the Western powers. No, I think they are making some coordination in playing the rules against something like against or pro some cases in the area. So we have to be aware about what greedy about making more and more area and gains in the region.
Right. Moving on to Washington Post, the headline reads: EU to keep patrolling for Somali pirates until end of 2018. The European Union's naval mission will keep patrolling for pirates off the coast of Somalia for another 2 years to guard against any resurgence of attacks, the bloc said on Monday. The number of raids and kidnappings had fallen through. Maritime officials have warned that the risk is still underlined by the 2 attempted attacks last month. NATO said last week it had ended its own mission of the Horn of Africa as it shifts resources to deterring Russia in the Black Sea and people smugglers in the Mediterranean. But the EU said it would extend the EU naval Somalia Operation Atlanta until the end of 2018, allowing it to keep guarding UN aid deliveries. Would you shed more light on the details of the security situation in Somalia?
I think some years ago we were hearing about accidents here or there in the ocean, the Indian Ocean, and so on, from the smuggling people or from the pirates, and more and more people are hijacked, or people making out of their families and killed in the Indian Ocean. But now it is decreasing number of this kind of accidents, which is good. I think if the European Union is making or stopping such kind of accidents and cooperating with the Middle Eastern country and Middle Eastern and African, in the Horn of Africa, I think it's good cooperation to stop such kind of accidents which make and affected the whole area for some years. We don't hear about such kind of accidents so many like in the past. So it's a good step, and we have to encourage that and make some reparation about it.
Right, Mr. Amir Nabil, Managing Editor, Middle East News Agency. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
And dear viewers, with this we wrap up this edition of World Today. Many thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the top stories coming up in a moment.